What if I told you that the biggest bottleneck in your business is actually your team? It's your ability to hire and bring people into the company to help you actually build. Now, here's what's really interesting because there are people who are at day one and at day 1,000, and they have no team and they're solopreneurs and they're killing themselves. And then there are people who are at day one or day 1,000 who bring in teams at a fractional level to help take little things off their plate so that they can focus on revenue driving activities. The question is, which are you? And then the question is, well, if you cannot scale what you are personally doing and carrying, then what's actually the problem that's happening in the business? Is it you? Is it the team, or is it your hiring? One of the things early on that I learned a long time ago is that one of the greatest things that you can do is bring someone into your company from day one to help you. You have to understand whether or not you are an integrator or a visionary. And these are not the same thing. An integrator's role is really to go in and to be the executor. The visionary's role is to see the vision and say, this is what I believe we're capable of doing, and then helping the team get to that place. A lot of times, what happens though is because our hiring process is wrong, we bring in the wrong people. Hiring is, as crazy as it might sound, is as much as an intuitive gut decision as it is a system and a process that you bring into the brand. And the thing that I've discovered over the years, having now hired over 500 people in my 22-year career in leadership, is that you're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to have someone in the business too long. Sometimes you're going to wait too long to hire that person, whatever it might be. But the number one mistake I see people make between $100,000 a year and $1 million a year is whether or not they're carrying too much weight on their own. This is the number one thing that kills businesses. To give you a great example of this, when we created Unbroken Business Support Group, I immediately brought in an integrator into the business, followed by a virtual assistant, followed by a content manager. And that was right off the bat, day one. And here's the reality. You don't have to bring people onto your team in this way that you have a huge payroll and overhead from day one. Fractional is so important because it allows you to pay somebody for a couple of hours per day, or maybe even a couple hours per week, and just take things off of your plate so you can go execute. One of the things that I do from day one that you should also do if you have not done, and chances are you probably haven't because most people don't think about doing this, is you need to write yourself an actual job description. For instance, if you were to go and find someone to take on your role in the business, what exactly would they be doing? And so I look at my role in the business as these are my verticals, these are the windows, these are the only order of operations that get my attention. Everything else must be delegated to the best of my ability, right? Because up front, what happens is we have this idea that we have to do all the things. But the reality is there is no successful solo business. They don't exist. They never have, and they never will. Maybe you might have a little mom and pop corner store, but you probably have an accountant or the guy who comes and does the bushes or the lady who creates the signs or the delivery driver for the ice cream or whatever the thing is. There's always someone else. And you're probably carrying too much right now. And so if you've landed here and you realize that the biggest bottleneck in your business is from this, the thing is, we've got to get better at hiring and we've got to get better at managing our teams. Here's what happens. We decide we have too much on our plate and we're going to bring somebody on. Here's the next problem. You, generally speaking, create a role that is so unclear that the person coming in doesn't actually know what they're supposed to do. And instead of you getting focused on your verticals and what are a part of your JD, you find yourself stuck constantly guiding this person into what they need to do. So before you hire a soul, the most important thing that you need to do in this moment is go and write a job description for them. What are the things that you have the expectation that they are going to accomplish? And then once they're in that role, they do the thing. That is their job, nothing else. The other thing that happens you see this all the time, is that hiring is something that is done as a reactive response to problems in the business. I'm always thinking about how are you proactive, right? It was something I just shared with my team the other day. I said, I see the vision for what we're building here. I'm putting you in positions now to have teams underneath you so that when we scale, we are at this place that allows you to move right into the next level. I don't wait to hire reactively. I do it proactively. This was a great lesson that I learned early on in my first company 17 years ago, because I would find out day of needing something. I didn't have the extra body to help me accomplish what was in front of me. And that would often turn into a disaster. You know as well as I do that that does not look good for you. And here's the reality. This is costing you. Like as a founder, as an owner, as a leader, this is costing you, because guess what? The very first thing that's going to happen is exhaustion, overload, and burnout. You're trying to do everything all by yourself or with a team that you're not giving the space to expand. And so now you're stuck. You're doing all the things all the time. This begins with a hiring problem. You have got to let go of this idea that your team is a liability. Everyone on your team, if you use them the right way and you give them the ability to go execute at the highest level, and trust that they can do it, and you're not a micromanager, every member on your team should be an asset to you. They should not be a liability. And in fact, everyone on your team should be helping to drive revenue. And if they aren't, then you have to ask your question of why does this person work for my company? And sometimes this is going to sound crazy. It's you, because you are doing so much that you're actually not productive to the company as a whole. And so we need to go and find the people that we can put into place. Even if you had 2 hours a day from a virtual assistant that you hired somewhere in the world that was low cost, that could come in and check email. Now, guess what? For 2 hours a day, you get to focus on revenue driving activities, because guess what happens if you don't have the right people in place? Now it's costing the business revenue. The wrong hires, the mishires, the no hires, the no team building, the no SOP, the no check-ins, the no whatever that thing is going to impact your revenue. There's just no way around it, because instead of you being focused on revenue driving activities, what happens? You get caught up trying to solve problems all day long. The fact that you're checking your email tells me everything that I need to know. Right now, there are people who are like, it's my email, I'm going to check it. Okay, fine. But what I would also say is there not someone else who can handle that? Is someone doing 90% of that effectively not as beneficial as you doing it 100%? And you're going to miss as much as they are anyway, because you're human. And then the question is, okay, well, what AI tools can we bring in? That's another conversation, but something to think about. And then finally, you have to look at, well, what is it costing the business in terms of quality? You are putting yourself in this position of not executing at the highest level because the team doesn't understand what they need to do, because you haven't yet explicitly broken down expectation, or you haven't explicitly understood who you need to hire and is best suited for the position to come into the business and to take the reins over the thing in front of you. You know, one of the things that you have to understand about bringing people in, it's going to require you to let go. Most leaders, especially early on in business, get caught up in this. And you know, to tell you the truth, I see leaders in seven-figure companies who get caught up in this as well. They just cannot let go. And I want you to think about this. What is the cost that you are paying for not letting go and bringing in people to execute at a high level? You know, the thing that I see all the time, if you leave this undressed, you're going to have dysfunction. And this is a top down approach, because it's something that now you're spending all this time doing all these extra activities that you shouldn't be doing. And now you've hit this growth ceiling, because let's say, for instance, that part of your job description is you follow up with all of your leads. Well, how do you follow up with all your leads if you're putting out fires about scheduling the email or the vendor who didn't send the product or whatever that thing may be? You have to get to this place where you understand that no amount of your personal effort will actually be more beneficial to the company than the effort of the people that you bring in to support the vision. I read this amazing book called Who, Not How. If you have not read it, I highly recommend that you read it because so much of what you're in front of really is the who. So, what I want you to do now, I want to create this roadmap. You want to create this game plan for what the next month of the business looks like. The first thing that you need to do is you need to identify the weakest role in the company. There may be someone who's not carrying their weight. Again, that person may be you. This could be a real mirror moment for you. Then you need to look at, is there actually a personnel gap? Who are we missing? What is the fractional person or full-time person that I need to bring into the company to help navigate the things that I need taken off of my plate so I can focus? But guess what? You can't do that if you don't have the second piece, which is clarifying your roles around what are the most critical functions in the business. I don't post social media. I don't follow up with emails. I don't do strategic planning. I allow my team to execute at those things so I can create content, so I can build my community, so I can coach, so I can do consulting, so I can speak on stages, so I can do podcasts, so I can be the face of the brand, right? If I were doing all the other things that I delegate to them, even though it's in my head, I think to myself, I could do all those things. I've learned after being in leadership for 22 years that you have to let your team become a team. And your job is this. If I gave you anything that I want you to take away, and this is the third part of this roadmap you're in front of for the next 30 days, it's that you have to tighten your delegation expectations. This means that when you give somebody on your team the thing that they need to do, it has to be explicit that they understand the outcome of what you want. This is where KPIs come into play. This is where SOPs come into play. This is where job descriptions come into play. And so if you're in this position right now and you don't have anyone on your team, or you have too many people on your team, or you don't have enough people on your team, whatever that is, this is about getting tight and cleaning up all of the areas of the business that are not working. And here's the truth. You have to understand this. You have to approach business like you are a coach of a team. Even if you're an integrator, you still have to approach business like you're a coach on a team. Here's why. Because the reality is that you cannot be on the field and run the plays. I mean, unless you're Peyton Manning, which you're probably not. And even he had coaches, an offensive coordinator, a head coach, a lineman coach, a wide receiver coach, a quarterback coach, right? I'm an indie guy, so if you don't like the Colts, we probably aren't going to be friends anyway. That's fine. But my point is, you have to understand that from a business perspective, your job is to delegate, to create expectation, to give the play to your team and allow them to run the play. The only way you do that at the highest level, though, is it starts with the hiring process. And so here's what I would tell you. If you're stuck, if you're lost, if you're confused, you need to be a part of the Unbroken Business Support Group community. This is a place where we teach these things, where we show you how to do this effectively, and most importantly, where you can have a community to talk about the chaos of all this as you build the thing that's in front of you from day one or day 1,000, 6 figures or 7 or 8 figures, whatever it is. Come in and be a part of this with us. So you can go to unbrokenbsg.com, Unbroken, just like business support group, unbrokenbsg.com. Let's have a call with the team. Download a resource, read our book, whatever it is that you need, it is there for you. We want to be a support for you as you're building the thing that's in front of you. With that said, you got a game plan the next 30 days. If hiring and people and team is your bottleneck, you know what to do from here. So until I see you, my friend, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and be unbroken. I'll see you.